This is our first meeting in this facility with the new technology, and just to let you know, we are streaming live to everybody on the World Wide Web. So again, just watch what you say this time, please.
How many people are watching?
I think 27,000 people are watching right now. Yeah. Yes. So again, I appreciate everybody's time and attention here. So let's go ahead and do a quick roll call. David Fulkerson.
Here.
Matthew Adams, he's out. He informed us he was going to be out. John Nesmith.
Here.
Spencer Martin.
Here.
John Wardle.
Here.
Butch Whedon.
Here.
And I get the honor of introducing our latest and newest team member. He's going to replace Gene Strait, and I'm going to announce and introduce Josh Cummings. He's our new board member, committee member. So again, appreciate you joining us, Josh. So with that, that's roll call. Agenda, I just want to make sure that the agenda is good with everybody, unless somebody has something they would like to amend to the agenda. Again, I'm going to add something really quick, and that's just to introduce Josh. So I'd like to add 1A to it, and just so I can introduce Josh formally. But if everybody's good with that, I'm just going to amend it with the 1A for introduction of Josh Cummings.
So moved. Thank you.
What was that?
I said so moved.
So moved. Perfect. I love it. Thank you. So with that, Josh, I just want to give you an opportunity just to introduce who you are and what industry you're going to represent on this board. And again, if everybody else could introduce themselves as well. We'll start with Jenny. Jenny will go ahead and introduce them. We'll just go down the line and kind of see who everybody is and why we're here.
My name is Jenny Fields. I work in the finance department.
Todd Lavoie, I'm the administrator of this Impact Fee Committee, and I work in the finance department as well.
I'm John Wardle. I work for Brighton. We do residential neighborhoods, commercial neighborhoods.
I'm Josh Cummings. I'm a broker owner of a real estate company and love Meridian. And I'm Butch Whedon. I'm retired from mostly the fire service and a taxpayer.
I'm Spencer Martin. I'm mostly retired. I work as a volunteer for the Meridian Police Department a good share of the weeks, and that's it.
I'm John Nesmith. I'm a citizen from the Parks and Rec Commission, representing that, and also own a repair facility. So,
David Fulkerson. I work for the state of Idaho. I'm a citizen representative on the committee.
I'm Ted Baird. I'm with the city attorney's office, and I am streaming the meeting live, and I'm the only person watching. It did say 3 a minute ago, but
We scared them away.
scared him away. So come back down to 1.
So I was off by 26,900.
It's a really good record for the future. If we ever need to revise what was said, and especially as we move forward with the revision of the fee methodology, I think it's a good thing. So,
Perfect.
very good.
Steve Sidaway, I'm the Parks and Recreation Director for the city.
And Mark Niemeyer, Fire Chief for the city.
Again, thank you everybody for introducing and letting Josh have an idea who's here. Josh, just to let you know, we try to represent multiple aspects of the community. Hence, you're the realtor side of. We have the building community. We have local property tax payers here with a little bit of fire and police interest as well. So we try to cover the community pretty well. So that's what that's who you work with. Again, we meet quarterly. We'll send you a quarterly invite via the agenda and so forth. And I tried to prepare all the documents for you ahead of time. So anytime give any of us a question, we'll answer it for you. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump into the agenda. First item on the agenda from a work perspective is item number 2, financial results for fiscal year 2017. I handed out the documents to you. This particular item is labeled Impact Fee Fiscal Year Actual Results with Fund Balance Position. This item here represents the historical results for the 3 departments that we oversee. We oversee the police department, the fire department, and the parks department from an impact fee revenue and expenditure perspective. The police department is the top department on our list from this report. What we want to do is we want to go to the 2017 column. These are actual unaudited figures. Our audit report should be coming out in the month of February, so I'll be able to change this to audited, but at the time it's unaudited results. So if we look at fiscal year 2017 column, you'll see the top section is revenue. You can see the revenue generated for the police department in the three categories: multifamily, commercial, and residential. For fiscal year 2017, they generated a little over $370,000 in revenue. Below the revenue, we have our expenditures for fiscal year 2017. In this case, the police department did not spend any dollars out of the impact fees for fiscal year 2017. So in this case, we had a revenue generation of $370,000, no expenses. So we were able to add $370,000 to our fund balance. And if you go down kind of following the line, you'll see that we started the fiscal year off at $801,000 in our fund balance, or i.e. our savings account. We added $370,000. So we're starting off fiscal year 2018 with a beginning fund balance or a savings of $1.1 million available for capital projects for the police department. The police department does have a capital improvement plan that these items are earmarked for, so we'll be spending it in the future. So we're saving now to spend later. Now, if we follow the same pattern for the next department, which is fire, I'm not going to go over every line in detail, but you can see that fire generated a little over $1.5 million in revenue. Their total expenditures in this case, they had zero for fiscal year 17. And right now, if you follow the lines, they ended the fiscal year 17 with a fund balance or savings account of a little over $5.1 million. And if you turn over the page, you'll see the Parks Department, which is the third department we kind of oversee. Again, they have a few more details there, but if we look at the total revenue, they generated a little over $2.5 million in revenue. They spent a little over $3.9 million of revenue. And again, if you follow the lines, and you'll see that fiscal year 2017, they ended with a fund balance of $6.2 million for that year. Then the very last section is a summary of total revenue, total operating. Right now, the entire impact fund that we all oversee, we currently have a little over $12.5 million in the fund balance or savings account for future construction needs. So those are your fiscal year 2017 results with 3 previous actual results for your support. Again, you guys are here to ask questions or have discussions, and your staff is here to answer any if you have any. So I hand it over to you if there are any. Well, I see, oh, David, I see a question.
Yes.
Of course, the finance guy.
Yeah. So I remember from the council meeting the other night, they had asked how much of that was potentially obligated. So I wonder if that wouldn't be a good thing to have in this sheet below the fund balance in the current year column, not for all the years, but just for the last year we're reporting on what that potential obligation is for that money.
Yeah, I could definitely add that in the future for you so you can see what the total obligations are, definitely. I can speak on behalf of Parks, 100% of that's already spoken for. I can speak on behalf of Fire, 100% of that's spoken for. In future stations, within the next, we have 5 more years on this particular plan. And the police department has expansions spoken for as well. There's not detailed here. But I'm more than happy to add that to a different report for you going forward. Yep. Mark, you had a...
No, Todd, you kind of covered. I was just going to update you on fire. I was going to echo what you said. 100% is spoken for. So Fire Station 6, which was in the CIP, which is impact fee eligible, right now we're at about 14,500 square feet. That's probably going to get cut. But that includes a community room, which we would like to have. It's a like to have, not a need to have. When we developed this CIP, building cost was about $250 a square foot for a fire station. We're now at $350 on the lower end. So this is not Taj Mahal. This is not gold-plated recliners and all that kind of good stuff. It's just basic components of a firehouse. But things have also changed. For example, we used to put carpet in all our fire stations, and now the science and the data is coming back saying don't do that. You bring in a lot of nasty stuff on your boots from trouncing through stuff. I'll just leave it at stuff. You can imagine what we trounce through. And so now typically fire stations have concrete floors. They're easy to clean and they keep the nasty stuff away. We just went through a mold remediation issue in our weight rooms at every single fire station we have, and it was because of some of that very reason we're tracking things in that we do not want to be tracking in. So cost to build has gone up significantly since we developed this way back in 14 and 13. So as Todd alluded to, 100%, even a little over, is accounted for. We're going to have to cut some things. So what you did by asking for the full implementation of the fees certainly helped, and as we move forward, we'll be looking at trying to project costs a little bit better with inflationary numbers and that kind of stuff than what we did before, just so we don't run into this problem again.
Thank you, Mark.
Todd?
Yes, Steve.
The only addition I'd have is, well, we can certainly say that, every penny of that is spoken for, or, earmarked, if you will, for a project, be it South Meridian Regional Park, future phases, or West Meridian Regional Park. Some portion of that's actually obligated by nature of actually approved contracts by city council. So we actually have contracts underway at Hillsdale, for example, that have some of that obligated to it, and we just got approved for contracts down in South Meridian that have some of that actually obligated by contract. So while all of it's maybe spoken for, not all of it's obligated in terms of contracts, but we do have even portions of it obligated by contract.
Thank you.
Yeah, the only reason I had that comment is that we had asked for the fee to go up knowing that we were in that situation. So I thought it'd be good to show that. And I would imagine in most cases, we're going to see then a negative balance after we put that on there on the fund balance because we haven't collected enough to get those projects done.
You'd be accurate with that, yes. Yeah. Any other questions, thoughts, comments on item number 2, financial results for 2017? All right, if not, we'll move on to item number 3, which is called permitting trend. The graph that you're looking, or the page that you're looking for, should be the second one. First graph is called City of Meridian Annual Residential Building Permit Sales. What we're trying to show you here is the development activity that we have experienced since 2012. This is based on a fiscal year, not the calendar year. So if we look at fiscal year 2017, we processed roughly 1,428 residential permit requests. And you can see how it's done over the last 6 years. And basically what we can tell you is the city's growing faster and faster than we expected. If you go back to our 2012 and 2013 processing of this impact fee, you'll notice that the amount of permits that we projected is nowhere near 1,400 permits per year. We did not think we're going to be growing this much that fast. So again, it's a good thing and a bad thing. We're playing catch up, as we've all stated. But again, a good thing is it's generating revenue, but again, we're playing catch up every single day. The next graph shows you the revenue generated from those permits. And again, follows the same graph trend line. It's going up as the development is continuing to be strong. The first 3 months of fiscal year 18 are looking stronger than fiscal 17. So we're growing still faster than we have been in the past. The next graph is new commercial by value of property. Again, this is just showing a nice consistent commercial development within the city of Meridian. Again, this is a good thing. This just shows solid consistency within the commercial world. And then the revenue generated with the commercial revenue, commercial development. Again, pretty flat, but again, super strong, super steady in that realm as well. And we're showing commercial a little bit lower than last fiscal year at this time, but again, still in the first quarter. We'll see what happens in the final 3 quarters. So again, any questions about the data presented to you regarding permit trends and what we've seen for fiscal 17 and the prior 5 years? Yes, John.
2 questions. On page 1, the first one, the residential permits, is this single family or multifamily or a combination of both?
That is both, I believe. Yes, those are going to be both multifamily and single-family residentials.
And then the second graph, what does the y-axis represent, where we have these increments of 500,000, 1 million, 1.5 million? What, because it says permit value, and I guess I don't understand what the permit value means in fiscal year 2017. Are we missing, is this total value, but it's not $2 million, is that
It's total revenue generated.
on permits?
Permits. Yes, sir.
Sorry.
No, good.
Okay, thank you.
Todd, is
On the backside is the commercial value of the property itself, because we don't use square footage per se on that one. We use the value of commercial property to generate. Yes, John, yes, Dave, then we'll go to Josh.
So on that permit revenue, if that's since that's residential, is that on those permits, those 1,428, is that the?
Yes, sir. So I tried to put the residential numbers and value on one page, and then commercial numbers and value on the second page.
Right. So it'd be fair, and you said this was calendar year versus fiscal?
Yes,
year.
this is fiscal.
Right.
This is
So
all
won't
fiscal.
line up to the numbers on this year, because this is fiscal year.
Those, yeah, all fiscal year data. You're correct. And Josh, you had a question?
Real simple question, and I'm probably just reading it wrong. The total revenue from permit sales adds up to like ballpark, I don't know, like 5 million or something, 4.5 million? And this says 2 million? Is it just because of the residential only aspect of it, or? Using a very big ballpark. You know, just like there's 2.5 million total revenue for parks.
Great question, Josh. Great question.
Sorry.
No, that's a very valid question.
Because I don't understand are permits inclusive of all impact fees that are assessed on each permit?
Yeah, Josh, I was on that same, trying to equate those two things, and I just added up the residential from fiscal 17 and came to ballpark 2.5 million, which is not a little bit more than what's in this 2.2 or 3.
My question is the difference between
Right.
a permit fee versus a.
Yeah, I think this one is a calendar year number, and this is a fiscal year number, so you've got a few months difference.
Okay.
Is that correct, Todd?
Pulling up the file right now. Thank you. Where would I find monthly reports? Well, Josh, that's a fantastic question. I'm going to research why the residential permits on our file says 2.1 million, but if we add up the residential permits per the GO, it's 2.3, 2.4. Is that what you came up with, Dave?
Yeah, somewhere in that
Yeah,
neighborhood.
exactly. They should tie in.
If one of them was fiscal year versus one of them being calendar year.
It should be both fiscal. I'm going to ask, I'll have to go back to the report and figure that out. I apologize. I'll send you an appended document. They should correlate. It does not include multifamily on this one, but again, even if you add up the revenue numbers on the residential, it should equal the same thing. So it's a valid question. I apologize for the inaccurate data there. So I'll send you guys an update. Yes, Butch?
Does the term you used here, permit revenue, equal impact fee revenue?
Is that impact
Are
fee
those
revenue?
terms being used interchangeably, or are they different?
They are different. I mean, they are different to an extent, but it should still tie out. I apologize, guys. With that inaccurate data, I apologize, guys. We'll ixnay number 3A, and we'll come back and send you guys updated number 3s. Again, I apologize. We'll work with the Excel file and see what's going on there. Again, apologize about that. So with that, we'll jump into number 4, which is population. That's the graph with the header city of Meridian total dwelling units, or it's also labeled City of Meridian. It is City of Meridian total dwelling units, historical and projection. This is our calculation to the best of our ability that shows how many dwelling units we have here in the City of Meridian. So if you look at 2018, we're roughly 37,000 total dwelling units. That's both single family and multifamily. And you can see the projection where we show the city going forward. If you go all the way to 2040, you'll see we're sitting a little around 62,000 dwelling units. So you can see we're projecting growth, continuous growth. We come up with these numbers based on a committee that we have developed here at the city. We have the enterprise fund, we have the planning department, we have the transportation guy help us with calculating these. These are based on traffic and zoning analysis. So we work with that. We work with Compass pretty tightly to figure out where we believe the growth is going and where it's coming. And this is our current projection at this time. So you can see the growth is still there. If you look at the graph below, the below graph shows you our percentage annual growth rates. We're not projecting 2005, numbers, but we're still projecting a pretty strong 1,000 units, dwelling units a year. We're still projecting a couple hundred multifamily units a year. Again, not as strong as it has been, but we still show growth in the city. And if you go to the next page, you'll see the top graph is a distribution of where we see residential and commercial. And you can see residential and multifamily. And you can see our projections are showing that multifamily is making a little bit of ground, but not significant. It's still primarily dominated by residential. And then the graph below that shows the annual percentage year-over-year projections. Again, 2013 and 14, we had some huge multifamily increases up to 18%. Our projections residing around 2 to 3% from here on out. Again, is that modest? We'll find out. But that's where we're at. We're with the projections for the City of Meridian. We update this on an annual basis with the latest Compass data and traffic and zoning analysis. So again, any questions on what we consider population growth dwelling unit projections? If there are no questions about the growth that we're about to see and expect.
Just a comment.
Yes, sir.
If we draw a line down here from 2017 and look to the left, which is historically accurate data, I've got to say somebody's awful brave to be projecting anything to the right of that.
Well, unfortunately, we do have to project, and it's our best estimate, but it's going to be tough. Yeah, the little, Josh asked a question why there's a little drop down there. Compass has a correction in their future estimates. They're calling it like a 10-year correction. We don't have the details behind it, but that's what they're calling it. That's why you see a little drop in there. Again, if they adjust it next year, we'll adjust it accordingly, but they've put in like a 10-year adjustment for that period. I guess at the end of the day, we are growing, guys, and Fire, Parks, and Police is going to do the best they can to, I guess, sustain, contain, maintain what they have. So if there are no other questions, we can move on to item number 5. Again, that's an update on the RFQ process. 2 meetings ago, we discussed what we want to do, and it was determined that we want to move forward with opening up the impact fee for consideration of the council. And with that, it was directed to us staff members to start the RFQ process to find a consultant to assist us with the development of the CIP, the impact fee plan. I can give you an update on that. Currently, the impact or the draft RFQ, the request for qualifications, we plan on having that out onto the street in early February. So we'll announce it to vendors so that they can place their bid and their request to be considered. Our goal is with the purchasing department to have a possible consultant in and signed early April. So that's how long it kind of takes for the process. So early February is when we're trying to get the RFQ out there on the streets for people to see. And then we're shooting for early April to have a contract signed with a vendor. Again, we will push this out to a couple of the vendors that we know of, and then we'll hopefully find some other vendors that would be interested in it as well. With that, we will have to develop a review committee of the RFQs because they're going to be submitting their qualifications. And then the committee itself will review the qualifications to determine which candidate we believe would best represent the city on this project. If there's anybody on this impact fee committee that would like to be part of the review committee, just please let me know, and we'll make sure we get you a seat. And that way we can forward you that information to be part of the review committee. We will have city staff members as well to review all the qualifications to help determine which candidate represents us the best. So again, you don't have to make the decision today on whether or not you would like to be on a review committee, but between now and March, please just send me an email. Be very casual, just let me know, and I'll get you on the distribution list with the purchasing department to include you on. So any questions about the RFQ, where it's at, and what needs to be done for the impact fee committee?
One question.
Yes, John.
So when we talked about doing this, it was a 2-step process. One was taking the full recovery to the city council and at the same time have the RFQ process. Can you just restate now what our time frame is? Or is this, you're on a cycle, what is it, every 5 years to update the impact fees?
We are mandated to update it every 5 years. That's correct.
So is this moving that process forward within that 5-year period, or this is just our normal time? It's our normal time? Okay.
This particular plan was adopted May 2014, so we would have to have a new plan in place by May 2019. Given that we're January 2018, if we start this early April, we probably have it approved by the end of this, by fall of 2018. So our 6 months maybe early, but I think that's better to be safe than sorry than to wait too long. So we'll be about 6 months ahead of the May 2019 review deadline, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the RFQ process? Appreciate it, guys. So we'll go ahead and move on to number 6, which is review public hearing from January 16th. I know Matt Adams wanted to be here to give you guys a congratulations on that. He wanted to thank everybody for your efforts, your time, and your abilities to make this process happen. You guys have seen it full circle now, and he hopes that it was a great experience for you guys as well. He learned a lot, but again, he just wanted to say thank you to you guys for what you did to assist him to present that as is. Again, I'll extend not necessarily congratulations to an extent, but again, hopefully the process was it was a successful process. Hopefully everybody got to see how it works. We had a few bumps in the road, but again, I think at the end of the day, it was successful for the committee to see the process from start to finish. So yes, congratulations on that learning experience. Again, we will make the fees effective March 1. So we will be working with the building department to have them update their fees. So that's effective March 1, 2018. These fees will then be in place until we present the new impact fee study for council's consideration. And upon that decision, those new fees will overwrite the fees that were approved 2 nights ago by council. So again, I opened it to you guys to talk amongst yourselves. It was just a item I wanted to throw on there so you guys can, I don't know, congratulate yourselves or talk about lessons learned or anything like that. But I just want to put it on there. Congratulations on the successful process of getting the item pushed in front of council and passed. So congrats. Spencer.
I thought Matt did a great job in his presentation. It's very well plain spoken.
Yeah.
The other thing that really impressed me was the fact that he discussed what impact fees are, and he did it in a very plain spoken way. And I thought those comments were helpful to not only us, but the audience.
I agree, Spencer. I thought Matt did a great job. Even the testimonies were very, very useful, very easy to understand, and I think it helped the council make their decision on that Tuesday night. I agree.
My impression was that there were a lot of people that signed up to speak. After Matt finished, nobody wanted to speak.
So you did a good job.
That certainly looked like it to me.
That would be your conclusion, or mine anyway.
Todd?
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask possibly Steve. I understand that Steve was able to present some information that the council requested on multifamily that resulted in sort of a reversal of the prior decision to treat them differently. They're now, with the revised fees, going to be a dwelling unit as a dwelling unit. And Steve, did you have any input on that, or do you have any comments on what it was that the information that the council considered to make that change? Or anybody else who was there?
Doc, they didn't officially make the change. I think the information Steve presented helped them figure out that maybe they didn't in the future need to go down that road. And certainly the gentleman for BCA cautioned them not to get too granular on that. But
And the reason I bring that up is as we go forward with the redo of the methodology with the new consultant, I think that's going to be an important topic that we're going to want to find some way to quantify what we're saying is that if a dwelling unit is a dwelling unit, how do we show that? Because I think both sides are sort of asking for that.
So
Go ahead.
The question that came to me from Councilman Palmer was, what numbers do we have for persons per household in single family versus multifamily? Are they the same? Are they different? And while I didn't find any, perfect numbers that broke it down for single family and multifamily, I did find it in ownership versus renters, but I tried to make it clear that rentals will include multifamily, but also rented single-family homes. The the 2010 census showed ownership persons per household at 2.95 persons per household, and rentals at 2.97. So, for all intents and purposes, basically the same, actually slightly higher on the rentals. That's kind of old, 2010. Since then, the ACS, or American Community Survey, has been gathering numbers, and they gather them through a 2 to 3% random sample survey rather than a complete census. And the numbers I got from 2016 ACS 5-year average had ownership at 2.85 persons per household and rentals at 2.72. There was a 2016 ACS survey 1 year, so not an average, that showed the largest gap at 3.02 for ownership and 2.31. But the point was, we don't know if that 1 year one is an anomaly based on the survey, which is why they also give you the 5-year average. So those are the best numbers that I was able to find so far. We can certainly, look at other potential data sources as we move into the next study. But those were the numbers that I found and shared with council.
Yeah, I think since we know the amount of multifamily stuff is becoming a bigger segment, then that's probably good data to do, and maybe whoever the eventual consultant is can help find a good data source to kind of answer that question.
I'd also mention that Dave Jorgensen testified. He'd been involved with City of Boise's process, encouraged the council to simplify if possible and not to get too many divisions and make it overly complicated. I certainly appreciated that perspective, and I've seen them as similar. I think that people that live in multifamily homes use parks just like people who live in single-family homes. And I guess I'll just leave it at that for now, and we can dig into it further with the next study.
Well, again, appreciate the input. Again, we'll definitely have those items on our to-do list with our RFQ. We'll make sure that if they can help justify the split between residential and multifamily, that way we have that in our back pockets for any potential discussions in the future. But like everybody stated, I think if we keep it simple, like Mr. Jorgensen said, I think that's going to be the best for the city, but we'll make sure we have the right information at our fingertips for any questions. So with number 6 closed, I will extend another opportunity for anybody to add any items to the agenda. If there are no other items that you want to discuss at this moment in time, I would be happy to make a motion to adjourn and call it a committee meeting.
Todd, just one more item, if I could. Not a new item, but a reinforcement as we move into the next impact fee, along with keeping it simple. I think we've done a really good job, and I think keeping it simple is good. I would also strongly suggest that as we roll into the next impact fee study and we start developing those fees, I think part of our success in Meridian is when we attended the BCA meeting. We know not everybody's going to agree with impact fees or cost, but I think we do that well in Meridian, at least that dialogue and that communication to that group, I thought, and Mr. Jorgensen mentioned that does go a long ways in helping understand why we're collecting what we're collecting. So with this new study and whatever those fees are set at, I think if we incorporate that as part of our process prior to the council adoption or recommendation, I think that'd be a good idea.
Fully agree. I appreciate that, Mark. Yeah, we'll definitely engage our community with those meetings again. Luckily, we have a few members here on the board, on the committee, that have access to some key contacts at those agencies. So we'll definitely look to reach out to you guys to help us get on some of those future meetings. Again, appreciate that input.
And Todd, I would just say, we go into the next study not knowing if the results will say they should go up or down. The last study, the park impact fee actually went down.
It did.
So.
Oh, good points. So if there's no other discussion items for this particular meeting, I would say that we call it adjourned meeting at 3:15. If so, appreciate your guys' time. Make sure you turn off your microphones for us, please. And again, thank you for everybody's help and time on this.